Good evening, everyone. Hey. What is going on? This is Second to None. We are talking some football today.
Let's go.
I am one of your hosts, George Hancock, aka the Real Hog Fan. You can find me on Twitter. We've got Vandy Chris, the Vandy diehard, of course, the legend Propeller Head. He doesn't have it listed, but that's his name. So, as you can see, we have the bearded Vol.
Woo, go Vols, baby.
Yeah, Mr. Dustin. We've got Mr. Matt, Mr. Wildcats expert down there in his Kentucky garb. What's going on, Matt?
All right. How are you fellas doing?
Doing good. And then, hey, Mike, go Hogs, man. What a setup you got. You got hog glasses, a TV. That must be a man cave. Is that what that is?
This is a man cave. This is one of my favorite City Mine Creek, Psycho.
All right. He's got us all.
Love it.
We're all coming to you. We're all coming to you live from our studios, aka storage room / music room / man cave / living
bedrooms.
That's okay because we just love to talk college football. We got a great show for you tonight. We're going to talk a little bit about College World Series. We're going to talk a lot about football. And we're going to give you some of our picks on who we think may or may not be some interesting wild horses coming out of each division. So this is Second to None. Let's do it.
That gets my blood flowing. I don't know about you guys.
Yeah, buddy. Ooh, it is football time, and I'm excited.
Me too, buddy.
Me
too.
What is it?
70 days?
Took the words right out of my mouth, Dustin. 72 days, I think it is. Yeah. I saw it today. We only got 72 days. I'm like, what? No way. So it's awesome.
What is it, 60? I was going to say 68 or 67 for Vandy, right?
I believe so, yeah, because we started.
Yeah. So real football time in Tennessee is 72 days away. So
hey now.
That's the first strike. Yes, let's go. Off to a good start.
Only one team can be the first to go 1-0 in this state. We will be the first.
Please don't let us down getting beat by the Rainbow Warriors. Okay, come on.
I couldn't stomach it.
What a name. The Rainbow Warriors, man.
For real.
Golly.
Well, go by the Rainbow Warriors. I think they just changed it to the Warriors now, but I'm not sure.
I don't know. I'm not sure. But boys, I'm excited though, man. I'm excited. Season 2, episode 1. Let's go. Let's do
it.
And got us a great platform over here on Variety Sports. We also stream live on Variety Sports Collegiate on Twitter. Giving us a great platform to do this, and boys, I'm just excited. It's been a minute.
Yeah, and I'm a newcomer, but I'm very excited to join you guys. I've been helping. We've been doing, basketball. Basketball season was great, and I was like, man, I got to get on this football show. It's going to be awesome.
We are glad to have you, George. We're glad to have you.
Yeah. Well, should we talk a little College World Series since it's on?
Yeah, I mean, we got
get right to it.
Got to touch on that since that's the first thing at hand before football actually starts.
Right. So go ahead, Chris.
Who do you all got? Florida or LSU?
I mean, if it was me, I would prefer neither. But I mean, honestly, in my opinion, LSU is one of the best teams, if not the best team in the country. They hit the ball really well. They have a fellow by the name of Paul Skeens. I mean, he's an insane pitcher. He's so flipping good. I mean, you've seen what he was able to do in Tennessee during Omaha. So, man, if I'm being honest, I'm taking LSU in this game. in the series. I mean,
Yeah.
My whole take is I think if LSU can get it to a third game, it's 100% advantage LSU. I like their batch against Jack Caglione. So, and I know that if they get to a game 3, we're probably going to see Paul Skeens and Thatcher Hurd pitch.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going with Florida, and here's why. Because I think in about 3 or 4 years, LSU knows that their cheating will be uncovered, and they'll have to forfeit the World Series anyway.
Well,
So
oh, you're killing me.
You're taking shots already for. Didn't they just get busted for that though?
They did.
Yeah.
Yeah. 37 wins, the most in history ever deducted from a team.
Yeah. Well, and
Miles right now is not eligible for the Hall of Fame because he's under the 600 winning percentage. He's at 5.
Oh no.
Hey, and and here's the deal though. Me and you, Mike, I'm sure we probably think alike. I thought there was a little something shady going on with Les Miles when he was coaching. His recruiting practices were way off the wall. How he was getting these dudes, and just it was just a weird deal. And I thought, man, that dude's really shady. So for it to come out that all this was going on, and that there was a player that was completely ineligible for his entire career at LSU. As Hog fans, I think we can say.
And I've never forgiven Les Miles. I've never forgiven Les Miles for 07 in the SEC championship. That still tears me up. So
yeah. I mean, rightfully so. You cheat, you don't get in the Hall of Fame. So
right.
Sorry.
But
yeah, I mean, well, go ahead, Chris. Sorry.
I think their punishment gives us an idea of what might be coming for Tennessee, though. Yes, they got probation. I don't think Tennessee's going to get probation. But their probation ends in 3 months because they were proactive in what they did. Tennessee was proactive. I think the worst thing is Tennessee's probably going to have to vacate wins when their punishments had them down because they took steps to fix the problem.
Well, the good thing is in that 2017-18 season, we only won about 8 ball games, so it's not 37.
No, this is true.
No, it's not a stretch. Championships and everything else.
Oh, man.
Unfortunately,
Jeremy Pruitt.
Unfortunately, that'll give Kentucky and Vandy wins over Tennessee.
Oh, gosh. Shots fired. Don't worry. 55-0, buddy.
If wins are vacated, that doesn't mean they get the win. That doesn't
get
mean
the win. It becomes official if we get the win.
Does not. I wish that's how it worked because then Arkansas would have a whole lot more wins against LSU, but that doesn't how it works, unfortunately.
Right.
So, well, anyway, we got off topic here, but we were talking about the College World Series. Who do we have? I shared a couple different places of a phenomenal interview with Paul Skeens about his time in Air Force and different things. And it was a very interesting deal. And I'm not an LSU fan, don't get me wrong. But Paul Skeens, man, it's hard not to like that guy. What he stands for. I didn't know this, but apparently every strikeout that he's done this year, he has donated a certain proceeds towards the military, fallen military members and their families. And I thought, wow, that is amazing.
That is amazing. Yeah.
So I think that's a really good deal there. Anyway, so I think that my daughter's in it. Can you please close the door and go, please? I'm literally right in the middle of talking. What?
Live TV, guys.
Yes,
live
TV.
He's saying Florida as well.
No. Well, that's the thing. I have to say this that it's an interesting deal because LSU they're out of pitchers. I mean, we saw them throw pretty much everybody that they have. Now I say that, and I believe the score is still 2-1 in the bottom of the third. So apparently they're pitching enough. But Yeah, I don't know. It's hard to go against LSU, and I think Florida is going to bring it, but I think I'm going to take LSU in this.
It's a very good matchup. I feel
Yeah.
very, very evenly, even matchup. So,
Really do good if they want to have a chance to.
the bottom line is there's still 2 SEC teams in the College World Series. There was 3 in total in Omaha, so that just shows you kind of the dominance though of the SEC. Not only in football but baseball, basketball. I mean the bases are covered for every sport as to why the SEC is. They're just so much more dominant than every conference in the country.
And this makes 14 of the last 15 seasons that the SEC has had a team in the College World Series final.
It's nuts, man. It's nuts. It's amazing, though.
Yeah.
I mean, when they say it does mean more, it really does mean more down here. So.
Well, I agree. And then with the addition of Oklahoma, the softball is going to be cornered as well. We'll own that one.
Yeah.
And I see one of our longtime commenters, Linda Skeens, is on here. I'm a big fan. She says she's a big fan of Paul Skeens. Let me remind everybody, give us your comments.
Yeah,
the chances are we're going to share them. We love the comments. That's what keeps us going.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely is the viewers and the people. But so I'm like I said, I'm taking LSU. Chris, who you taking, buddy?
I think LSU, and for the reasons I said, if they can get it to a game 3, it's advantage LSU all day long. Paul Skeens, Thatcher Hurd. I think Ty Floyd is going to be money tonight. So I think this is the game that they can steal, to force a game 3.
Yeah.
So, but I like LSU's chances against Jack Caglione all day long. I mean, you got 3 of the best hitters in college baseball on one team, going against the guy that struggles to even make it out of the 4th inning. I think that's advantage LSU all day.
Yeah.
Most definitely.
No doubt. George, who did you say that you got winning the World Series, buddy?
LSU.
Mike, you said Florida.
Well, I was tongue in cheek there. I think LSU finds a way to win. I mean, look at them. They knocked Wake out, beat them 2 in a row. So I think right now they're the hottest team. You can argue that.
Yeah.
So I think LSU.
Yeah, no doubt. Matt, who you got?
I'd say LSU. LSU's had the bats hot, here lately. But if Florida wants to have a chance, they've got to pitch good. Their pitching is what's helped them out in some of their games.
Mm-hmm. But all right, so I think we're all taking LSU in this. So, are you guys?
Even Miss Linda agrees with us and says LSU.
Yeah,
and she's got the last name to go with it. So how about that?
Right. It's funny. Guys, are you all ready to talk some football? Man, baseball's about done.
About done.
All right. It's about to be football season.
Yeah.
It's about to be Devin Leary time.
Oh gosh.
Who?
Devin Leary.
Devin Leary.
Enough.
Depends on if they got an offensive line. That's all I got to say. Do we want to talk about the 2024 schedule first?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
And that bombshell? We might as well.
So if you guys are good with it, I would like to go first, kind of talking about how there's not going to be any divisions anymore.
Yeah.
There are going to be the 2 best teams with the best records.
Yep.
Instead of the best from the East, the best from the West. I'm loving that it's going to be the 2 best. So actually, technically this year, right, it would have been Tennessee and Georgia instead of LSU and Georgia. So, that would have given Tennessee an opportunity to get back to the SEC championship. So, that's one thing that I do like about it. Mm-hmm. Who knows? It could be Arkansas to get back in there. You never know. That's what I love about this. And then with the addition of Texas, Texas and OU. I can't wait to start seeing that Arkansas Texas rivalry get back at it. Another thing I love is they kept some of the traditional rivalries. I love that.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah.
They did, and to piggyback on what you said, I'm a big fan of going away from the divisions. I wasn't sure about it at first because I know when they first talked about it, they talked about, well, they're going to have to hang up their traditional rivalries with schools. I mean, I know it's not a popular thing, but Arkansas and LSU has been a rivalry for a long time, and then LSU fans just decided we weren't, but Arkansas fans still have that little inkling of disrespect towards LSU and that whenever we play each other. So the Battle of the Boot, I think, should always be some kind of a little bit of a rivalry. They've tried to force the Missouri rivalry on us, the Battle Line rivalry. Mike just shook his head. Exactly. We do not think, as Hog fans, it's like, why are we forcing another rivalry? Can we not just keep the ones we had? I hate that. I know it's a deal to get more money, more whatever for both schools, but it was forced and nobody really liked it or paid attention to it. No. So I am glad that we're seeing those traditional games still take place. And I'm excited because now we finally get matchups that we didn't normally get during the regular season. You're going to have Georgia going to Tuscaloosa. That's something I don't know. I don't even think they've been to Tuscaloosa.
Yeah.
I don't think Alabama's been to Athens. So those kinds of matchups can now happen because we don't have divisions anymore.
Right.
And so, maybe we'll finally see Georgia go to College Station because for some reason they've never played Texas A&M in College Station. I don't know if they're just scared of it or what. Huh?
They don't want the COVID.
They don't want
the
COVID. But yeah, we'll see that. But yeah, I think it's good. And I think we're going to see some interesting stuff come out of 2024. That's for sure.
Yeah. I do too. And you know what, with and I understand it was it was a very sad event that happened right like in Kentucky. Several years ago. A couple of I don't know if it's students or players. They got killed in a car accident due to a drunk driver. Right. So they done away with the beer barrel.
Yeah.
Well, UK is going to start selling beer again at their games. It's time to bring back the beer barrel. It is. Tennessee has had it for the past several years. It's time to bring it back.
Bring it on back.
So that's the reason we had the mustard shower.
Yeah. What's the mustard shower?
What is that? I don't even know.
Well, ask Lane Kiffin.
Oh, mustard in the ball.
You're killing me. You're killing me.
I'm sorry, but rednecks and beer don't mix. I was at a WWF event in Barton Coliseum, and Shawn Michaels and Triple H and Chyna walked out, and I got showered with about 5,000 beer bottles.
Oh, Lord.
I was on the floor.
Let me ask you, was this in Arkansas?
This is in Little Rock, yeah. And
that explains everything. That explains everything.
I agree. I'm about to try that.
Kidding.
I'm owning it, brother.
There are good people in Arkansas, so please don't take that the wrong way. But no. Go ahead, Chris.
Have you heard the whole story about why they discontinued the beer barrel with Tennessee and Kentucky?
Well, like I said, I just know that I know that there was either some players or students that got killed by a drunk driver. Yep. That was the original. Yeah, that's what I was saying. That's why they done away with it. So I could understand that, but you don't have to call it a beer barrel. You don't have to call it that.
If Vanderbilt and LSU or Louisville can still play for the old Oaken Barrel in baseball, bring back the beer barrel.
Yeah,
bring it back.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it needs to be a whiskey theme. That's just me.
Yeah. I mean, Kentucky with their bourbon and Tennessee with their white lightning. So
right. The bourbon barrel sponsored by Jack Daniels. Something crazy.
But something I'm really excited to see though, right, is Tennessee. We're going to be playing Oklahoma in Norman. So that's going to be a really fun series. But I can't wait to play Texas though, because my thoughts are there should be a real UT trophy. Who's the real UT? You know what I'm saying?
That's a good idea.
I would love it, man.
Yeah.
But at the same time,
hey man,
if it wasn't for Tennessee, there would be no Texas. So we're the real UT.
Texas is back. You didn't know? I mean,
Horns down.
Right. Thank you.
Horns down.
From an Arkansas fan, thank you. I appreciate that.
So I have to ask Dustin,
sir,
since y'all are finally getting the game with Oklahoma, are Tennessee fans going to stop their crying that they had to cancel a game against Oklahoma last year?
Yes. Yes.
Apparently
yes.
so.
Just had to clear that up.
Well, look, man. The last time, obviously, like I said, I know we're going to Norman. The last time though that Tennessee played Oklahoma in Neyland, we were up huge. We were up big, and then Baker Mayfield just made this huge comeback. Right. So for the past 2 times we played Oklahoma, they're up 2-0 on us. So I'm excited to see, Oklahoma's kind of on the downslide, Tennessee's up on the upside. So I'm kind of excited to see where we are compared to Oklahoma. Because, I mean, traditionally Oklahoma is a powerhouse. They have been for years.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to see what Brent Venables is, able to do with Oklahoma since they're coming into the SEC anyway.
Yeah. Well, speaking of Oklahoma, the Loyal BBN fan show just brought up a great question. Which one will have the most success after joining the SEC, Texas or Oklahoma? Chris, what's your thoughts?
I'll take that. Texas. And I'll tell you why.
Okay.
Because they've already been recruiting the Southeast footprint.
Yeah.
They've already been recruiting the SEC footprint. Oklahoma has not.
Right.
That's where the advantage lies, in the SEC footprint, and already having their foot in the door there.
Oh, Chris. No, sir.
I know Arkansas fans don't like that answer, but
Well,
it is what it is.
I actually have, some common sense and reason behind why I disagree with you.
Hear it.
Yeah, let's hear it.
You have several college football teams, who have a good product in Texas. Texas is not the only show in town.
Right.
TCU, Texas Tech has been on the upswing. A&M. So Texas has got to compete with a lot of other schools for caliber players. Oklahoma really doesn't. I mean, Oklahoma State, but Oklahoma, hey, I'm in the SEC. Oklahoma State's not. Come to the Sooners. And so I think just from that standpoint, and also, Texas, until they can get a coach,
that's fair.
I don't know.
That's where I was going to go.
I think Oklahoma's going to have the better initial success.
But
that's a great point.
I'll take Oklahoma down that road. SEC schools are already going into Oklahoma, pulling their talent out. Vanderbilt just went and got a 2,000-yard rusher that was a sophomore that's already committed to Vandy. That's world-class sprinter. If Oklahoma can't maintain talent like that in their own state, I can't see them being competitive in the SEC.
Well, and that brings up a good point, because Mike, what you just said, is Sarkisian, the guy in Texas. He didn't prove it the last couple of years.
No.
And who would you rather have? Brent Venables, who arguably has been on everybody's coaching search the last 5 or 6 years since his blown up success at Clemson. Takes over an Oklahoma program that was basically left, because we all know Lincoln Riley went to USC and half the team with him. So it's kind of a interesting take. Which one would you go with? Because I think it all comes down to coaching and, for that matter, recruiting. Because I don't think Sarkisian can recruit all that great. His track record proves that they didn't get some studs out of there. He had, I don't even remember what Texas's recruiting class was, but it wasn't just ridiculously jump off the paper. Wow. And Brent Venables, he comes in and just starts with nothing. Now he's proven to be a pretty daggum good recruiter. So over time, I feel like Oklahoma can take that mantra from Texas and be the best SEC school, newcomer SEC school to come in. Are they going to have the success, an Alabama and a Georgia is going to have?
No.
I don't think that's ever going to happen. But comparing the two programs, unless Texas gets a powerhouse SEC proven head coach, next year or whenever, and they can bring in the type of caliber talent that's going to keep up with everybody, I don't think Texas is back like they say they are. So
Texas will have the pocketbook.
Yeah,
to go after
they'll have the whole money
as quick as. But I still think OU will have the better initial impact.
Yeah, guys, but look, let's be real though. I mean, Jimbo Fisher arguably had one of the best recruiting classes in history.
I knew you were going to say that.
Really, think about this. What did he win? What, 4 ball games last year?
It's
something
Jimbo
like that?
Fisher, though. It's Jimbo Fisher.
Well,
right?
I understand, but at the same time, right? I mean, I guess he's still using a playbook from 2013. It's outdated.
Well,
so
here's
I'm
the
excited. I'm excited to see what Bobby Petrino is able to bring to the table at A&M.
That's what I was going to say. You got Bobby Petrino, who he's an offensive genius. He is.
Yes.
People say I'm an offensive genius. So I stayed at a Holiday Inn Express. He built the Holiday Inn Express.
Yeah.
But
he can't stay off motorcycles.
He can't. No.
Motorcycles and hookers.
Gosh. Man. It's 2012 all over again.
But look at those players. Those players were from what my limited knowledge of all this, we're all NIL bought. That's
the way it's going.
Yeah, but they weren't sold on A&M, and I don't think they were quality individuals.
Yeah.
He just said, "Hey, here's a blank check. Come play with us. You got this NIL money," and they came and they stayed
most
around
of them
for
are
a
gone
year.
now too.
Yeah,
Yep.
exactly, because they did not get it as what's his name? Arkansas coach said you recruit your own problems.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, that's exactly what A&M did.
I agree 100%. The thing that I had such an issue with NIL is it going to turn into which school is going to pay me the most money, and where can I go to make the most money and put in the least amount of effort?
Yeah.
And that's what we saw with A&M last year. Yeah. We saw a whole lot of checks getting pushed out, and them getting just steamrolled on the field. Because it was like something like players were getting paid nearly $1 million and they hadn't even set foot on the field yet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then to win 4 ball games and then go, peace, thanks for the money, transfer out.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
That is the problem with the NIL. And we may have a bunch of disagreements, but they need to be bought and sold on the school, not the money they're going to make.
That's right.
Right.
Yeah, Chris and I, we were actually talking about this the other day, on kind of how to fix the NIL. I totally agree with Chris on this. You shouldn't get a dime of NIL money until you've played at least one season at the school that you're attending. Okay.
Prove it.
Yeah,
Prove
right. I mean, because $1 million check.
Mm-hmm.
And even you got Nico coming in to Tennessee this season. They cut him a pretty big check. I mean, let's just be honest. Let's be real. So how is he? Well, all right. Would he have ever really considered Tennessee if NIL had not been a factor? I don't believe that he would.
Yeah.
Because you know what? Tennessee has not been able to recruit out of California since the early 2000s.
Good point.
So my thing is, if you want to play here, great. We'll get you some NIL money.
Mm-hmm.
But until you take your first snap, at least until your sophomore season, I don't think that you deserve a dime because you haven't proved it to me yet. That's just my take on it.
Yep.
See, and
Good point.
mine's similar to that. I think you can't draw it till you're a sophomore.
Mm-hmm.
If you transfer, you sit out a year and you can't draw it for a year after you transfer. That's going to stop a lot of this buying players in the transfer portal too.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And go ahead, George.
No, I was just going to say let's
I know we kind of got away from the conference schedule. No. One more thing. Talking about the transfer portal. These players that have transferred 2 or 3 times out. Speaking of the transfer portal, it's probably not the team. It's probably you. Honestly. Can't think of the quarterback's name that went from Georgia then to West Virginia. Now he's transferring back out. Can't think of his name right now to save my life. But I think there should only be a one-time limit.
Yeah.
For the transfer portal. Yeah, maybe your first time, maybe you didn't go to the right school. Maybe it wasn't a right fit for you. But I think there should only be a one-time limit. That's my opinion on it.
So yeah. I see the loyal BVN fan show has commented. It appears that UK will serve beer at football games this year. You know what?
Yeah, that's what I was talking about.
I love that idea because now Kentucky fans are going to be too drunk to talk much when Vandy comes up there and whoops them in Lexington like they did last year.
And then whenever Tennessee puts another beating on them, they're going to drink their tears away.
Hey, that's the only way they can get fans in the stadium.
Ain't there a song
don't you mean their grocery store?
Oh man!
Don't forget.
Shots fired.
Back.
Ain't there a song about that? There's a tear in my beer.
I hate Williams. That's right.
Don't forget.
Oh, just messing with you, Matt. Just messing with you.
Don't forget. Hey, Kentucky's offense is going to be a whole lot better this year with Lynn Coleman, and I wouldn't be surprised to see Devin Leary lead the SEC East in passing yards and touchdowns.
But like George brought up at the very beginning of the show, do they have the offensive line? Do they have that line to be able to protect Devin Leary?
They will have the offensive line. They're working on it.
Well, they better hurry up. They got 60-something days left.
So just a quick reminder. Devin Leary was a mediocre quarterback at best. North Carolina State. This is the SEC, baby. It means more here. We are second to none. Devin Leary is going to be bottom of the rung quarterback in the SEC. I said it.
Golly, son, we're starting the year off right, aren't we?
But Lynn Coleman will make him be a better quarterback by setting up the offense. Kentucky averaged 37 points 2 years ago. They averaged 24 points last season when he wasn't around. So
all right,
we'll see, but we'll touch base on teams later. Let's
get back on top. We got way over in left field. Yeah, let's get back on topic.
One more thing, Will Levis was in the same boat as what Chris was talking about. Average to mediocre, and it made Lynn Coleman made his stats a whole lot better, and they ended up with 10 wins against 3 losses 2 years ago.
So, on the 2024 schedule,
yes,
a lot of people seem to think that Vanderbilt got a raw deal and they got this massive, unwinnable schedule. But
let's see who you got. You got Bama. You got Bama at home, Carolina, Tennessee, and Texas. Away, you've got Auburn, Kentucky, LSU, and Missouri.
If you can't win 3 of those games, you're a sad state of football.
And which 3?
Yeah, which 3 are you talking?
Kentucky, Missouri, Auburn. You set your sight on low-hanging fruit.
Okay.
And for Vanderbilt, the Kentuckys, the Missouris, the Auburns right now are the low-hanging fruit.
Oh.
And we just beat Kentucky. I don't see why people think that's such a far stretch.
It hadn't happened in a while.
Yeah.
You had a 3-game win streak on us.
Chris, I mean, buddy, you have to understand Vanderbilt historically has been terrible. Not saying that Clark Lee can't turn it around. I'm not saying that. I mean, they are investing a lot of money into their program. I honestly, man, Bama's going to whip you. Yeah. South Carolina, depending on who their quarterback is, that's probably a winnable game right there, possibly. So you're 1-1 right there. Tennessee, no way. No. I mean, sorry, buddy. Texas, probably not. So right there, dude, you're 1-3 already, in my opinion. All right, you got Auburn at home or away. Maybe
winnable game.
It's winnable game. But it depends on how Hugh Freeze puts
Yeah.
together his team, and nobody knows what that's going to look like.
Right.
Exactly.
And that's the unknown factor. It does point to your advantage because you are more of a solidified team, but
Yeah.
it's in Auburn. So I don't know. It's a toss up for me.
You know, you've got you're at UK.
We just won there last year.
So I mean, right there. I mean, right there. Right there. You definitely could be 3-3 potentially. Potentially. LSU in Death Valley.
No.
Probably not going to happen.
No.
And then Missouri, maybe, because they have a pretty good defense. Missouri has had a pretty good defense these past couple of years. So you may get 3 wins in the SEC, man. Maybe 4, possibly 4.
Well, okay, but hang on. So
Yeah, no, you're good.
Three wins for Vanderbilt is
I was about to
a
say,
decent season
yeah,
Mhm.
in the SEC.
compared to 0-8 or whatever it
0-10
was,
just
0-10
2 years ago.
2 years ago. If you guys get 3 or 4 SEC wins this year, that is a remarkable step in the right direction. So
I agree.
I don't know. What real quick before we move on from the schedule, what matchup from the new schedule do you guys think is like, wow, that is something crazy? To me, it's Georgia and Alabama, obviously. I don't think Georgia has ever been to Tuscaloosa, and that will be a monster of a game.
But will it?
No, I think that'll be an excellent game because right now, I mean, that's the cream of the crop, right, of the SEC.
Yeah.
Is Auburn? Not Auburn. Oh, Auburn's terrible right now.
Yeah.
Georgia and Alabama. So I mean, you very well could have the SEC championship right there in Tuscaloosa. In 24.
Never know.
And that could make or break the SEC or who determines who's going. So that could definitely be a big matchup. Florida and Texas. That's an intriguing matchup to me. So there are a few on here that I am excited to see, no doubt.
Oklahoma and Alabama will be interesting.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, and then also you have to think, right? The 12-team playoff will be implemented then as well. So these games really matter.
Yes,
these games really, really matter.
Yep.
So that's what's exciting.
One of our big time guests last year is Wes. He's not here tonight, and I'm sure he would 100% disagree with me. But I have a different take on Alabama. I think they're actually at that level where they're fixing to take a step backwards. And I also think Nick Saban's going to retire. And I expect it to be after this season because the things that he's saying publicly, I think he is angling with the new NCAA commissioner. I think he's angling himself to be the first NIL czar, so to speak, where he comes in and he sets rules for everybody and he's in charge of it and he manages that. I think that's what he's angling for by the things he's saying publicly right now.
Well, it's no secret that he does not agree with NIL. He doesn't agree with a lot of things going on. But
I don't think it's that he doesn't agree with NIL. He doesn't agree with NIL being used as a recruitment tool.
That's
because it's not sustainable.
No.
So before we start getting into individual teams, is there anything else, guys, on the schedule that you want to mention, talk about, or anything?
No, I think we brought it up earlier, that fact that you got the 2 best teams, no matter which division they were in.
Yeah,
are going to be playing for the SEC championship, and so that's going to be interesting.
Well, and there is a one question we didn't get answered, and that's we'll do that right before the break. But what does adding Texas and OU do for the conference?
What do they do for the conference? Well, they, in my opinion, I think they bring viewership kind of from the Midwest, and they start. I understand. We had Texas A&M, and that was some viewership.
Mhm.
I mean, guys, they're historically excellent blue blood programs, and you're just adding more ammunition to the SEC as to why the SEC is the greatest conference in college football. That's just the fact of it.
Mhm.
So, I mean, they're both household names when it comes to college football,
Mhm.
and that's also another rivalry that we get to add to the SEC of all the traditional rivalries that we already have. So I'm excited. I really am excited for OU and Texas to be in.
Hey, Dustin.
And I almost have a different take.
Mhm.
I think it's the beginning of something different
Could be.
because we've had these super conferences before and they've never worked.
Mhm.
And what you end up with this faction over here on one side and another faction over here, and they end up splintering off into two different factions. Every time we've had super conferences, that's what's happened.
Yeah.
I feel like that could be leading to what we end up with later on. It might be 5 or 6 years down the road, but I feel like that could happen.
What do you
Texas
think, Matt?
is a virus.
Texas is a virus.
They are.
So do you believe that they're going to infect the rest of the SEC? Is that your fear?
No, not necessarily a fear, because at the end of the day, well, Texas.
You just hate Texas. Just say it, man. You just hate them.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's just everything is about Texas.
Always
Having
about Texas.
trying to have the this outlawed by the Big 12. Are you kidding me?
Mm-hmm.
It's like the Jan Brady, Marcia.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they're a virus. I just OU is going to be fun. I think, but Texas, I had my fill. Thank you, but no more.
Wow, man. What do you think, Matt?
I'll say this is off the subject, but the NIL,
Uh-huh.
Nick Saban hasn't adjusted. It's sort of like the same with Calipari at Kentucky. They're both in the same boat. They haven't adjusted as well with the NIL.
Mm-hmm.
Alabama, this is his coming, next year, this coming season, he's got to make a statement for Alabama, his recruiting.
Yeah.
They've got, they want to send him off well on a, get him a national championship. We know how great a coach he is. And, when you go to Alabama, you expect to win championships in the Saban era.
Yeah.
So, but what do you feel though? Texas and OU are adding. Like, what type of value are they adding to the SEC though? What's your take on that?
Texas is, they've proven that they can be a very competitive team. We know Oklahoma is, they're known for winning Big 12 titles. I mean, same with Texas. They've both in the last 15 to 20 years have proven that they can win caliber type games. I mean, but we'll just see how it is when they move to the SEC. I mean, it's going to make it very interesting to see how you can grab wins like for Kentucky, Vanderbilt, and that's just my take on it.
Mm-hmm.
And then now we have our resident fan. Oh, I don't know where he went. I was going to say a resident.
He just jumped in. He'll be right back. But yeah,
I gotcha.
Yeah, we have our resident Auburn guru. He'll be back in a second.
Oh Lord,
the Auburn guru. Boy, we have all kinds of stuff to talk to him about tonight.
Hugh freezing hookers. Hugh freezing hookers.
Back pocket, and you better be checking him before every game, every single game. You better.
Oh Lord. Oh yeah. I mean, man. All right. I tell you what. So something that we should be doing though is we should be going to Row One. Row One Sports.
Yeah.
They are an excellent brand. You know what, Chris? Just roll the clip, man. Roll the clip.
Let's be honest. You're here because you love sports. We love sports too. And our friends over at Row One Brand love sports as much as we do. Row One Brand sells sports wall art, sports gift watches, and vintage apparel with ornamental designs created from real game ticket stubs and vintage sports memorabilia in their collection. If you want some vintage Golden State Warriors memorabilia, they have that too. It's a sports collector's dream website for anything sports related. Go over to row1brand.com to check out their great inventory. And when you use the promo code VSP15, you'll get 15% off any item on the whole site. That's code VSP15 for 15% off any item on the site. So click on the link below and go check them out. Row Run Brand, America's best vintage sports art, sports gifts.
There we go.
You know what I didn't see on any of that authentic sportswear stuff?
Vanderbilt.
Well, obviously.
Because nobody cares.
I didn't see anything Auburn either.
Hey, hold on. I want to
Auburn.
Here we go. I want to answer the question about Oklahoma and Texas because I got a good outtake on this.
Do it.
I
Let's
feel-
All
hear
right,
it.
let's hear it.
Let's hear you, Kenny.
Okay, so Missouri and Texas A&M come in. First, 2 or 3 years, Missouri was hot. Now they look like trash. Well, here's my outtake on Oklahoma and Texas. Oklahoma's going to come in. First couple years, they'll be dominant. Then they're going to turn into Missouri. Just going to put it out there like that. That's my outtake. Texas will stay in the mediocre top sometimes, but mediocre. But they'll never be in the bottom. But my outtake is Oklahoma will be dominant the first couple years because we'll have to get used to the style of offense they play like Missouri did. Then we figured out their number, and they've been at the bottom ever since. Saying.
Okay.
All right. So
That's a pretty interesting take right
Cody,
there.
you act like you want to say something.
well, okay, all right, yeah, I will. Buddy, Texas ain't Missouri. Or I'm sorry, Missouri ain't Texas. And also A&M ain't Oklahoma. So you got two totally different brands of football right there. I don't think they're going to be irrelevant in the next few years. So I have to disagree with you right there.
Texas will stay in hot, and then they're going to go to the bottom.
You said they were mediocre at best. And that they would stay in the
Texas
middle.
will be
No
mediocre
way.
some years. They're not going to stay at. They're not going to stay at the top every year. No, they will not. I'll argue this up and down. There's no team in the SEC that stayed at the top every year. Cody, name me one.
Your
Alabama's
big brother
falling
has
off now.
though.
They've been at the top. Who? They're falling off now. They fell off. Let's go back to in the mid 2000s. Where was they at when we demolished them 6 years in a row? I mean, barely made a bowl game 3 or 4 of them years, Cody. They wasn't at the top. They were mediocre middle. Every team in the SEC's not been at the top every year. I give Texas more credit than I do Oklahoma. I just don't like Oklahoma, and I have my reasons.
Coming in hot.
Coming in
already.
hot. Okay,
like
ladies
no
and
red.
gentlemen, Kenny, the Auburn guru, in the house.
Yeah, and first of all, my name isn't Cody, so I don't know where you were getting Cody from. I'm Dustin.
Dustin. He knows that.
My gosh, what's wrong with you?
Dustin, whatever.
He got all
Lord,
I'm just saying.
Lord, I had
I would
some bad
rather-
thoughts. I was about to, but
I would rather
nope.
pull for Tennessee. I would rather pull for Tennessee.
Go ahead.
Well, that's good to hear.
Where's Dustin at? The one that wanted to give me crap today.
That's Dustin.
That's
is
Dustin.
Right here, bud. Right here.
He's Tennessee, buddy.
Just call it Cody. We'll know you're talking. Call it Cody.
Cody's LSU.
Good grief. Kenny. It's that Alabama education
Yeah,
show.
I'm
My
glad
gosh.
he's LSU. Hey, I will tell him this. Hey, I will
Goodness
tell you this,
gracious.
I did pick LSU to win the baseball thing. So
Yeah, we all did. Good. I'm glad. Turn your mic up just a little bit. It's a little low, if you can, sir. We can all hear you. But yeah, I think Andy's coming in hot. So let's. I guess we need to preview the East and West, huh? Since it's the last year. We do.
Let's
love
do it.
hearing his opinions.
Linda
All right.
agrees with Kenny.
Oh my goodness, yes.
Oh my gosh. Don't give him any ammunition.
So 2023 is the last season with division. So let's start at the East.
Okay.
Dustin, okay, go ahead. Chris, go ahead.
Time out. We have to make a grand entrance here.
We do.
I
Okay.
want everybody to welcome to Second to None's second season, first episode, by welcoming with the biggest round of applause you can give us to the creator of Second to None, Mr. Michael Spencer.
Woo!
There he is. Yeah.
What's up, guys?
Glad to have you on, man.
I appreciate it. Hey, can you guys hear me okay? I want
Oh,
to make
yeah,
sure
Oh, we can hear you great, man.
Okay, good. So, hey, man.
Snaps all around. Snaps all around.
There we go, right here. Hey, man, you guys are wild. Thanks, Chris. I appreciate that. Hey, man, you guys just keep going. I'm gonna just fill in, and you guys got it, man. So just keep going with it, and let's keep rolling, man. You guys are
all
awesome.
right.
Thank you guys so much. Yeah, absolutely.
Oh man. Well, who wants to get us started on the East?
What are we looking for? Are we looking for records? Are we looking who's going to be terrible? Who's going to be good?
Hey, preview the East and West. Give us your best breakdown on the East. Who
All right.
Okay, I'll start.
give
I'll
us
start
the
this
numerical order. You're gonna start it out, Kenny? Go right ahead.
Yeah, I'll start this out. All y'all don't call me crazy because I'm fixing to do this. The worst team in the East this year is South Carolina. The best team in the East is Tennessee.
Wow.
Georgia's gonna fall in. Georgia falls in at third this year. It's gonna go Tennessee. It's Tennessee, Florida, Georgia, Kentucky. That's your top four.
Did you just say Florida at number 2?
You're crazy.
Georgia's done this year.
Holy cow, man.
Oh my God.
Dustin,
He's gonna be.
did you hear that?
How am I crazy?
I
y'all
did
call me
hear
crazy?
that.
But in the end of the day,
East.
let's talk.
Go ahead.
Let's talk.
We're listening
Let's
to
talk
your
facts.
insane takes right now.
I love it.
There's no questions about that.
Did
You know
Kenny
what?
just say
Kentucky's better than Florida.
Oh my goodness.
There we go. Yeah, go Vols, baby.
Did Kenny just say that Tennessee's going to win the East?
No, it's y'all. I'm telling y'all, Florida's speed will hurt some people this year. Tennessee's quarterback play is gonna win it.
Yeah. Wow.
You know what? Hey, Dustin, you know what? You don't
Wow.
have to be so humble right now. You could just say I appreciate it.
Oh my God.
Because
And then
You know what? You know what? I would be tickled to death if Tennessee was to win the East. You know why? Because that means we're in the SEC championship, and you know what that means? We're probably going to the playoffs. So I'm okay with that take.
And then not only did he say Tennessee was going to win the East, but he also said South Carolina's going to be looking like that.
Yeah, buddy. Hey, it's I mean, nobody in here is a Gamecock fan, but wow, shots fired at South Carolina. Listen,
South Carolina's
I'm
the worst team. I mean, yeah.
no, I
No,
disagree.
They are not the worst
look,
team. They have Spencer. I may not like Shane Beamer, but they're not the worst team in the East. I'm sorry, they're just not. Honestly, probably one of the worst teams in the East right now is probably going to be Florida. If I'm being honest.
Yep.
Yes.
If I'm being completely honest, Florida will be right there
Missouri,
with
South Carolina.
UK. I was going to say Missouri.
Well, here's now if you guys, I don't know if you saw this or not, but I made a prediction, a pretty bold prediction, and I said that by the end of this year or next year, Billy Napier will not have a head coaching job.
No, sir.
I think Florida is in dire straits, and I think they made a bad hire, and it doesn't seem like their recruiting has gone unless he has a top number one recruiting class, and it's not all about NIL. I don't know how Florida comes even in the question. And by far, in my opinion, Florida is the worst team in the East right now.
Yeah, I mean, historically, right, Chris? No disrespect to you, Vanderbilt historically has been the worst team in the East. Even last season they finished 2-6 in the conference. But man, you guys got Florida, you got Kentucky last season. So I mean, that's kind of an applause to Clark Lee. Look, I hate Vanderbilt with everything in me. I can't stand the Commodores. I think they should just disband their football team altogether. But hey, you have to have a little stepbrother, in there somewhere. But no, I'm just kidding. But no, at the end of the day, though, Florida and Missouri, they're probably going to be your worst teams in the SEC East this upcoming season, if I'm being real.
Mm-hmm.
Devin Lee shred Vanderbilt's defense and half. Mark it down.
I knew it was coming. I knew it was coming.
So
Get fired up. Get fired up.
Odd.
Take it to the bank.
people laugh at me when I say I can see 7 to 8 wins at Vanderbilt this year.
Well, it ain't.
When you look at the schedule and the way it breaks down, you're getting Wake Forest without Sam Hartman. It's a completely different team than what people have seen the last 2 years.
Yeah.
Okay. That's a winnable ball game. We just beat Kentucky in Lexington. I have no reason to think that they can come to Nashville and beat us with an average at best quarterback that comes from the ACC. Missouri's not coming to Nashville and beating us this year.
Well,
I don't think so.
And neither is Auburn.
You know, for the first show for 2023, going into the football season, it's always this show is about first. So this is what's about to happen, guys. Hold on.
Be wild.
I'm gonna go ahead and mute Chris because you don't know what he's talking about.
First mute of the year. First mute of the year.
Hey, it's gonna be a dreadful year.
So you want to talk about a dreadful year? Let's look at the West. I have one team in the West that.
Well, hold on. Before we go to the West, we still need to. We need to finish the East first.
We got to talk about Georgia. Is there a game on Georgia's schedule that they can lose? The only game I see that they can lose is Tennessee. Anybody else?
That being in Tennessee this year, you know, Tennessee has a little chip on their shoulder. Just how they went down and played last year. I mean, are they missing some players that they had last year, of course, but Georgia is too. I just think when those guys come, I think that game is going to be so big, and I think they're going to sell out for sure. You know, how do you get a team like that to come to Tennessee and not sell out? Those guys are going to, the fans, they're going to be rowdy, and those guys are going to just give that energy that I feel like Tennessee may actually come in there and catch Georgia sleeping.
So talking about the Tennessee-Georgia game last season, Georgia was pissed off because can I say pissed off? I hope so, because I just said it.
Yeah. We talked about a lot worse. Hookers.
That's true. That's true. But no. Georgia come in. They come in very, very upset last season. They put Tennessee at number 1 the week they were playing Georgia, of course, and I think they were just trying to hop up that matchup. Yeah. So Georgia was coming in with a chip on their shoulder last season. Okay, we owe Georgia. The last time that Tennessee has beaten Georgia, we all remember it, the Hail Mary there in Sanford, Josh Dobbs, that was 2016. Mm-hmm. So it's been a few years. There for a long time, Tennessee mopped Georgia, mopped the floor with Georgia for several years in a row. Mm-hmm. So my question is, talking about, is Georgia the new Alabama at the SEC? Do they just send players off to the draft and reload the next season?
It looks
like are they going to go for a three-peat this year?
I actually think South Carolina might have the tools to upset Georgia this year. That's not saying I think South Carolina wins East. I just think South Carolina is that trap game this year because Georgia's so used to going in there and beating them up. Yeah. They're not expecting South Carolina to come with anything.
Right.
But what we know is South Carolina is one of the best offensive teams in the SEC this year. With Spencer Rattler at quarterback. I think he found himself. They found something that works. I think South Carolina could end up knocking them off. Not necessarily winning the East, just beating them in a one-game thing.
Mm-hmm.
I think for South Carolina, one thing for sure is you gotta wonder which Spencer Rattler is going to show up each ball game. If you get him one that played against Tennessee, then those guys can be hot. And then if you get him where he hasn't had his best game, anything can happen with South Carolina. So I think it really comes down.
No, you guys know as well as I do, right? They finished 4-4 last season in the conference. That Tennessee game, he looked like the Heisman, the Heisman candidate that he was supposed to be coming into South Carolina. So, Mike, you're absolutely right. which Rattler are you getting? Now we owe them one. We owe them a big one because they put a hurting on us last season that possibly kept us out of the playoff, right? So we owe that. They're coming to Neyland this year, and buddy, we owe Spencer Rattler and Shane Beamer a butt whooping or two.
And not to mention, Hendon Hooker would have been, National Player of the Year.
Mm-hmm. So I'm excited to see what Joe Milton's able to do. Joe Milton looked really good against Clemson the past game. He looked really good against Vanderbilt. And also it was a rainy day there in Nashville as well. It was pouring the rain down there in Nashville. So I'm excited to see what Tennessee is capable of this year. We got Brew McCoy, we got Squirrel White, we got we got several of our offensive linebackers. Yeah, we lost some to the draft. Our DBs, I think, will be a little better this season. That was Tennessee's biggest weakness last season, right? We had a 12-0 offense with a 5-7 defense at best. And, I mean, if we weren't scoring 50, 60 points a game, we weren't winning half of those ball games that we won.
So remember what you said, Dustin. If a guy transfers twice, he's the problem, right?
Yeah, that's my opinion on it, yeah.
So let me remind you that a lot of Tennessee fans are expecting a transfer DB to come in there and help their pass defense. But let me tell you, I've seen this DB firsthand. He got burnt by UConn wide receivers 2 years ago. He's transferred twice now. He's not what people think they're getting.
I don't know, man. We'll see. I mean,
that would be Gabe Judy Lally.
Well, let me ask you this question, then, Chris, about that. You talking about UConn and you're talking about Tennessee. What was the other team he transferred to?
He left Vanderbilt and went to BYU.
Okay.
He had exactly 12 tackles last year, and now he's at Tennessee.
So let me ask you, when he gets up under the lights at Tennessee with over 100,000 fans, do you feel like that type of electricity is definitely going to be different from playing at Vandy, playing at UConn, or whatever? I mean, when you look at it, I mean, big people, they always say big people play big in big games. Every game at Tennessee up under those lights. I mean,
So okay. All right. Can I ask you? Okay, let me ask you this. Right. Perfect example. Hendon Hooker. Everybody thought that he was a joke coming into Tennessee. Right. I mean, nobody really knew anything about Hendon Hooker. He didn't exactly have the best career at Virginia Tech. Look what Josh Heupel was able to turn him into last season. I mean, really, made him one of the top quarterbacks in the entire country with the most passing yards.
Yeah.
So what makes you think that Heupel and his defensive coaches can't turn this kid into a stud?
That's just what I'm saying. That environment. He's playing with elite. I mean, don't get me wrong. You can go to UConn and you can still be elite if you go to a D1 school like that.
Well, he played at Vanderbilt, and Vanderbilt had a 2-touchdown lead a 17-point lead on him in the fourth quarter, and he got burnt deep twice by the UConn wide receivers, giving up touchdowns to let them tie the game up. He personally got burnt. He looked like he was lost in his coverage.
I don't think that Tennessee crowd would allow that. I think the pressure that comes with playing up under 100,000 people versus playing at Vandy, it's just like, well, it's just Vandy. Okay, of course, why not? Everything happens to Vandy, but at Tennessee, that's just one.
There's a lot of pressure, man.
Yeah, it's just one of those things where, like, that is not acceptable whatsoever. And if you can't get it done, you won't have to worry about being in there getting burnt for the second time because we're gonna get you out of there. Yeah. So. Yep.
No, so I mean, I'm excited, right? But as far as the East goes, I think Georgia wins the East this coming season. Yeah, I think that Georgia is still too dominant. Honestly, I think who finishes last in the SEC East. Call me crazy. I'm thinking it's Florida this year. If I'm being honest, I could be totally wrong, But I'm thinking
I,
it's Florida
I don't,
this year.
I don't disagree at all with Florida.
I believe South Carolina and Kentucky, they're liable to wind up with the same record. They're kind of on the same level with each other, I feel. I mean, if I'm being honest, I feel they're kind of the same level. Vanderbilt, I believe they're liable to win 3 or 4 more ball games this year in the conference. Why not? I mean, Clark Lee, you've seen what he's able to do. My gosh, 5-7. It's better than what Derek Mason was able to do.
And I'm glad you brought up Vandy, because what we've seen from Georgia is all these defenses went little to defend against the spread.
Mm-hmm.
Georgia went out and got big on offense.
Yeah,
they're just out muscling everybody on offense.
Mm-hmm.
Vanderbilt picked up an offensive lineman commit the other day, 6'8", 330.
Good grief.
Yeah. So I can see Clark Lee trying to get his team bigger in the same mold as Georgia. But whether he can actually get them there or not is another story. But I like the thought process there.
Well, I mean, historically, you guys know as well as I do. I mean, in the SEC, games are won in the trenches. So you have to have – I mean, you look at Georgia's front four the past few seasons. Those guys have been NFL size the day they come in.
Yeah.
You know, so it all starts with your offensive and defensive line. I mean, you saw what happened to Kentucky last season. They didn't hardly have an offensive line. Look what happened to him. Look what happened to Levis when he was at Tennessee. He got sacked almost every other play and threw 3 or 4 interceptions during that ball game. So it all starts in the trenches, especially in the SEC.
Yeah.
So let's move on to the West.
Yes.
LSU won the West last season.
Yeah.
A lot of people didn't see that, and they finished 6-2. Bama finished 6-2, so they both. But obviously, LSU had the upper hand because they beat Alabama last season. Do you guys think LSU is liable to be the West champion again this season?
I actually do. I actually think LSU.
Please elaborate.
I actually think LSU is the most talented team in the West. I don't think there's any question about that.
Yeah.
Like I said earlier, I think Alabama is taking a step backwards. They're at that point. You can only be dominant for so long before you have to take a step back.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's where Alabama's at right now. They're in the process of taking that step backwards. Doors wide open. LSU's the most talented team. But in the West, I think there's a team out there that's going to be hard pressed to even win one game in the Western Division.
Well, man, look, we've got a couple Hog fans on here. What are your guys' thoughts on the West? What are your guys' Mike, you go first. What are your thoughts on the West? Where do you see Alabama, LSU? I'm telling you, man, my sleeper in the West, call me crazy, I'm taking Mississippi State as a dark horse. If I'm being honest, dude, they have Will Rogers. That kid is a stud. I mean, I guess he's not a kid anymore, but he's a freaking stud, dude.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's been there for like 8 years, but still.
I think there are a lot of wild cards. I think Petrino at A&M with speed and talent. Yeah. I mean, you have to outscore A&M. And they're going to put up some points. Mm-hmm. I think Ole Miss, I think they've kind of reached their peak. I don't think they'll, 8 wins probably for them. Auburn and Freeze, joke attorney tests suits than Hunter Biden right now, but I'm sorry, he was a snake at Arkansas State. Snake at Auburn. At Ole Miss. I hope the guy has turned his life around, but I don't think he has. I still think Alabama is the team to beat in the West. Now, Will they win the conference? Will LSU repeat? Will somebody come up on them? I don't know. But I'm going to go with Alabama because they've been the most consistent for a long period of time.
Yeah. As a Hog fan, I would love to see LSU just fall off the wagon completely. Is that going to happen? Probably not.
Right.
I cannot stand Brian Kelly. Everybody praises him to be a great coach. I still have his fake accent on
Southern accent.
Right. His fake accent on replay is always what I go back to, is that being
Man,
Brian
we are
Kelly.
all family on here.
Oh, God, that was the most cringe thing I've ever seen a head coach do. Anyway, it is my firm belief that, and LSU will always recruit well. I get that. It's because LSU is LSU. But Brian Kelly, he seems to be getting all the credit for this, winning the conference last year. I get that and getting to the championship, but he didn't have his players to do it. I mean, let's be honest. He had players from the previous regime, and does that make him a great coach? I don't know. Maybe a little bit bigger. Will relapse from all the shallow shots.
That's funny.
Woo! I bet there's quite a few LSU football fans up there right now that are hammered because of how many, the 30 freaking thousand or 50 something thousand Jello shots that they've had over the weekend at the college World Series. But anyway, as an Arkansas fan, I want LSU to not be the leader. As a bystander, just completely somebody looking at it on paper, LSU is a clear favorite. And the reason I say that is because Alabama has quarterback issues. Nobody said anything about that yet. We still really don't know who's going to start for Alabama. Saban has said a few things. They brought in, they said, yep, this is the guy. Then they bring in a transfer right behind him. Then there's talk of the transfer taking the job from this guy. It's all up in the air. The spring game looked like a discombobulated mess quarterback-wise. I don't know. We don't know what's going to be on the field for Alabama. We do know what's going to be on the field for LSU.
Right.
And Jaden Daniels, we have seen.
He's a stud, man.
He is. And he has the caliber of talent that, he needs to be able to keep that momentum. To echo what Mike said, Ole Miss, Lane Train hasn't really done what Ole Miss thought it would.
It hasn't left the station. It ain't left the station. And you know what? He done the same thing when he was at Tennessee, man.
Yep. Well,
as long as he wins 9 or 10 games a year at Ole Miss, they're going to be happy.
They are. I agree with that. It's to me though, and Sarah, my wife, if you guys know her, she's a big Ole Miss fan. She cannot stand Lane Kiffin. Because it seems like every time he puts somebody out on the field, there's a lot of undisciplined athletes out there. You have a lot of fake injuries. Yeah, that was the big thing. You had
I know all about that.
Right, exactly. So you had a bunch of faking injuries. You had a bunch of guys crying this, that, and the other, and there was just too much of, hey, I'm going to be your friend, but I'm not going to be your coach. And I think that's going to bite him in the rear end here pretty soon. So Ole Miss is not going to be a factor, I don't think. I think 8 wins for them is probably going to be the ceiling. A&M with Bobby Petrino, they're going to be better. Are they going to be the type of caliber team that A&M wants them to be? Because the A&M fan base wants everybody to go 12-0. They want to go 12-0 every single year, and that's just how A&M fans are. I would say that they're going to be competitive in every game they play, but I do not think that they have the disciplined enough players, because there are still some from that NIL age, that NIL year, that are not going to perform like they should. So it comes at Mississippi State, your dark horse.
I believe so.
I mean, I know that they have an incredible quarterback. But I think there's going to be way too much drama and way too much distraction because it's all going to be about
Mike Leach.
Yeah, Mike Leach and the passing, and it's going to be that kind of year that all of that stuff is going to get in the way of them making a run.
So if I can maybe comment, what do you? I mean, do you believe that Zach Arnett is going to do a pretty good job at Mississippi State? I mean, they finished 4-4 in the conference last year.
I think so. I think he's going to continue to trend upward. But I don't think that they're going to be you probably at best second or third to last in the West. I just don't see that happening. Arkansas, we haven't really talked about Arkansas. Arkansas is bringing back a lot of talent. KJ Jefferson, if he can stay healthy, and I've said this in the past, if he can stay healthy, is going to be one of the best, if not the best quarterback. I mean, he can go toe-to-toe with Jaden Daniels if need be. He just has to be healthy. And so, to me, my own team is kind of a question mark. I've watched spring game. I've watched the recruits coming in. I've watched all that stuff. I haven't been able to really pinpoint, man, they're going to look really dominant here, and they're not going to look very dominant here because they brought in a lot of defensive linemen. They're trying to shore up that defense. They brought a lot of transfers in to shore up that defense. The offense is going to look the same. As long as you have KJ Jefferson and Rocket Sanders on the field, they're going to be a factor.
I think Dan Enos is going to be a whole lot better than Kendall Briles.
Enos coming in. Kendall Briles was our Achilles heel, in my opinion, for the offense, and had been for the last couple of years. I've said that for a long time, but you're crazy. He's one of the best we've ever had. I didn't see it. He was way too predictable. He went for the trick play every single play. Dan Enos is Dan Enos. He is going to call it straightforward, and KJ is going to be good because of it. So if I had to pick, I'll go LSU, Alabama, and then I will take Arkansas third in the West.
I got you.
Well, here's the thing about LSU. You know, after their first game last year, everybody kind of wrote them off. Against Florida State. And
Yeah, Florida State
so
by
I
field goal.
really think they snuck up on some teams last year.
Mm-hmm.
Now I don't think they're going to sneak up on anybody this year.
They're not.
And so I think a lot of people are going to give LSU more attention in a much more competitive game. And I don't think LSU is going to. And it's interesting you talked about Chip Kelly and his players. It's kind of like the Houston Nutt syndrome. You know, Nutt was great his first year at Arkansas.
Brian Kelly, not Chip Kelly.
Chip Kelly, boy, I haven't heard that name in a while.
I haven't either.
And when school's not in session, I can't think straight. But you know, and then when that was at Ole Miss, his first 2 years, you know, he could have, you know, he hung the moon down there. And then so I think Kelly might do the same thing down at LSU because he's definitely not going to sneak up on anybody this year.
Yeah. And then I guess we kind of have to talk about Auburn. We kind of have to, you know, get them.
Oh, yeah. There's a lot going on down there the past few weeks.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's
transfers.
It's kind of funny. Well, there we go. Here we go. Here's our Auburn guy. So we just got on Auburn. So Kenny, let's go, son. Let's go.
Give us your prediction.
You guys need to you guys need to quit bringing hookers and hoes down there at Auburn, and you might be okay. You might be okay. But I tell you what, man, you have one of have they give Hugh Freeze a burner phone? That's all I'm asking.
Oh man. Unmute yourself, Kenny. You're muted.
You're muted, buddy.
You're good. There you go.
I do know this.
What's up?
Auburn will shock a lot of people this year. I'm not going to give you a record, but I do know this. By the end of July, I do not want nobody in this group, especially the one above me right now on this camera, to come at me about, oh, y'all cheated, y'all did this, y'all did that, because I know it's coming, especially out of his mouth, because I know him. Been around him long enough to know that it is coming, but I got to come back for it. He's just going to be mad because he's only going to be suspended for one game, and I'm going to have to hear his mouth. And the only reason he's going to run his mouth at me is because he knows down deep inside in his heart that he is scared of Jarquez Hunter. Everybody in the SEC this year, everybody in the SEC this year, before he got all this stuff happened with him, was worried about him. Now that it's coming out that he's going to get a 1-game suspension, first game of the season is against a nobody, so I'm not worried about that. We'll have him back go to UCLA. So all I'm telling y'all is Jarquez Hunter is coming back with a 1-game suspension. I have proof on it. They're going to, as soon as the investigation is over with. But there's some other things that's fixing to drop in July. And when it drops, I got to make sure that I got to do what I got to do as an Auburn fan and talk a little junk to some folks.
Oh gosh, man! You guys don't even know who your quarterback is yet.
It's gonna be really
you
bad.
have no idea who your QB is, though.
So
and Hugh Freeze, right? Hugh Freeze, this is his first full season at Auburn.
Hold on.
So he singled me out.
He did.
Hold on.
Pointed me
All
out.
I'm saying is
I'm not Kenny. Let me have my time.
Can go in.
He's got a delay. He's good. Go ahead, Chris.
All I'm saying is when
he froze.
Yeah.
It's that Alabama. It's that Alabama Wi-Fi dial up.
So since he pointed me out, let me address Auburn.
No. It's really bad here. We got bad weather.
No. Time out. It's Chris's turn.
You pointed me out. Let me point some things out about Auburn. Auburn is not going to beat Arkansas with KJ Johnson and their running back. I can't remember his name off the top of my head.
KJ Jefferson. Jefferson, thank you. And Rocket
Jefferson,
Sanders.
not Johnson.
Yeah,
Rocket Sanders.
You're not going to beat Jackson Dart and Quinshon Judkins. You're not going to beat LSU. You're not going to beat Alabama. You're going to be hard-pressed to beat Mississippi State because Mississippi State's my dark horse with what they got coming back. That's 5 losses right there. Just in the West of the 6 teams you play in the West. That's 5 losses. You're not going to come into Nashville and beat Vanderbilt.
I knew it was coming. He's got bad weather.
I knew it was too, man. I knew it was too.
Yeah.
So you pointed me out. You wanted to smoke. I'm bringing the smoke. I count 6 losses just in the SEC for Auburn.
Yeah.
And that's not even saying that you beat Texas A&M for what that's worth.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, I said it. Hugh Freeze's first year as Ole Miss's head coach, he went, was it 6-6, I think, and that was with and arguably because he took over for, I believe it was Houston Nutt, right?
Yep.
And they had a pretty good team the year before. They had some talent. Hugh Freeze came in, used last year's talent as a thing. The problem is there are so many transfers that have had to fill gaps for Auburn. They didn't have the talent last year. Hugh Freeze has taken over a program that is probably 25% of where they should be. And 6-6, to me, it sounds like that should be their season. They could surprise us. They could do some different things. Kenny, you know I love you, man. It's no disrespect, but 6-6 is where I feel confident that Auburn's going to be at. And we'll see. And I may be eating crow, but I think it's going to be hard pressed for Hugh Freeze, as good of a coach as everybody thinks he is going to take this program to ridiculous heights in his first year. So,
and
Kenny, you may respond.
Well, before he responds, let me remind him.
Okay.
You don't have the Kimdichie brothers walking through that
Here
door
we go.
anytime.
Hold on, Chris. Hold on. I got to get you, and then I'm going to George. One. Every major sporting network in America has quoted the 2 biggest trap games in college football this year.
You're
is
right.
Auburn, Georgia, and Auburn, Alabama,
You're
on
right.
the plains, these people make millions of dollars, and you're sitting there telling me, Chris, that Auburn got a chance with Georgia. They clearly see
okay.
something that none of us see. I'm telling you now, Auburn beats Georgia and Alabama.
Weather
There's only
forecasters
2
make a
games
lot
on
of
the
money
schedule
too,
I'm worried
dude.
about this year.
Okay,
That's all.
okay.
We'll give them a run for
Real,
their
real
money.
quick.
Whoever
Hang on. Man, he's got bad weather. I really want to hear what he says, but he's got some bad weather and it's killing his internet.
So let me remind you that these experts that are saying this about Auburn and their trap games are the same experts that said Vanderbilt was going to win 2 games last year.
True.
They're the same experts as saying a team that returns 73% of its offense from a 5-win team is going to win 3 games this year. Miss me with your experts.
And he's
He gone.
yeah,
I
he's
was going
having
to say
some-
also the same experts that picked Texas A&M to win the whole flipping national title last year.
Yep.
Also with Pitt being in the Final Four. So yeah, come on now, miss me with that whole. All these guys get paid millions of dollars.
Come
on.
They get paid millions of dollars to say stuff that's going to get people's attention. So let's put it out there.
While we're on the West, Tennessee did something last year.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Tennessee, for beating the West last year.
So went down to Death Valley 40-13.
I just have to ask you, Dustin, are you going to spend the money for this little trip to go see the goalpost?
What is that?
Oh my goodness! What?
A new company.
Okay. So you can't. Okay. So you can't trust this Richard G. West. He is one of the biggest Tennessee trolls there are, and he puts out a lot of funny content.
I have to say that's probably the funniest one I've ever seen him put out.
That is pretty good. That's pretty good.
Well, I mean, yes, but it's also kind of convenient with the Titanic sub tragedy that happened.
I think that's where he
Lord
actually
have
got
mercy.
it at.
Oh gosh.
You better hope Oceanic, whatever that company is, and is not the one that's doing the expedition to go see the goalpost. Holy moly.
If they offer that to you, Dustin, are you going to go? Are you going to go look at the goalpost?
So they look. I can just stay right here on my comfy couch and look at it on Google Earth because you know what? There's pictures of it on Google Earth.
You're right.
They pinned it. They pinned it on Google Earth.
Oh my goodness, man.
Oh, that's good though. That was funny. Oh, all right. There's Kenny again.
Kenny, can you hear us, buddy?
Yeah, I can hear you.
That's so much better. Go ahead.
All right. So anyway, I'll explain to you what's going on with Leila. So here's my thing. What I was trying to finish to Chris is, I understand you hate Auburn, and I love that because it just fuels me for the season. But I am telling y'all this: all y'all sleep on Auburn if you want to, but at the end of the season, when I get the last laugh, I just want you to take it as me being me.
As you being you.
Because I'm coming.
Hey, if you're saying don't sleep on Auburn, it's more like don't sleep with Auburn because of Hugh Freeze, dude.
Mike, listen, y'all please listen to me. When Hugh Freeze can steal 5-star recruits from Alabama and Georgia, that's humongous.
Sure.
That's humongous. I don't care. That would be like, and I know this is going to really not set well with somebody in this group. That would be like Vanderbilt stealing 5-star recruits from Tennessee.
You know,
that would be huge. I'm just saying.
They just had to vacate 37 wins.
Auburn does that all the time. It's
No, we don't. We don't steal 5-star recruits from.
Cam Newton.
What is?
You're going to garlic powder, garlic sauce.
No.
I'm telling you, Auburn gets 5-star recruits from Alabama all the time. Every year they get one, at least one. But let me remind you, Laquan Treadwell, A.J. Brown, Moncrief, the Kimdichie brothers, the kids that Hugh Freeze had at Ole Miss are not walking through the door at Auburn anytime soon.
No.
Can you hear me?
All right.
Now, when it comes to Arkansas, I just want to know, George.
Yep.
Is this what you're going to look like on game day?
Probably. Probably so. Yes. Probably so.
Oh my gosh, you look so upset.
Hey man, you just got to do something that's going to get you some clicks, and that's what I did.
And in all fairness, I can say this is what I'm going to look like Thanksgiving weekend. That's going to be me.
Yeah.
Chris,
That's gonna be you a couple times, Chris.
Yeah.
November 4th.
Oh, God. All right.
This has been fun, guys.
Has been a lot of fun.
We have had a blast. All right, guys, let's talk real quick. Okay, real quick. East and West predictions. Okay, George, start. Who's going to the SEC title?
It pains me to say it, but it's going to be LSU and Georgia again.
Okay. All right, Mike, who you got, buddy?
I'm saying Bama and Tennessee.
What?
Nice.
Oh man, yeah, I love you. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, Bama and Tennessee.
My heart goes out to you, Kenny. Who you got? And it better not be Auburn.
Tennessee and LSU.
Tennessee. and LSU.
Hey, so that is two of our analysts that are picking Tennessee. Man, love
I
it.
told you a minute ago. I think they win I think they win the East.
Yeah.
Mike, I know
start,
you're a big UK guy, so you're probably not going to pick Tennessee. So who you got?
I got Alabama and Georgia going. Yeah.
You got Georgia and who?
Two.
In Alabama.
Alabama.
Yeah.
Ooh, Georgia and Bama.
Yeah, I do.
Vandy Chris.
Yeah.
I'm going to go Georgia and LSU. I think LSU will win that game.
Ooh. Wow.
Well, if we're going to
Guys, I'm going to go ahead and say it. Bazooka Joe, he done said he's going after 3.
That man right there can
Hey,
throw a football.
you know what?
Holy cow.
You know what? We are going to hear a lot of Rocky Top this year. We're going to hear a lot of Rocky Top, okay? Especially when Bazooka Joe throws it 70 yards down the field to Squirrel White, because Squirrel White's really the only he's the fastest one that can keep up with his passes.
Yeah.
Man, I'm gonna be honest. I'm picking Tennessee and LSU this year. I'm picking Tennessee and LSU.
Good.
Georgia, I believe Georgia. I mean, I'm not exactly sure who their quarterback will be this season.
Yeah.
I think they've lost a couple of pieces.
Right.
So I'm thinking it's going to be Tennessee and LSU, man, because Tennessee hasn't lost many pieces.
You're right. Who did the laugh?
Who did the left?
Vandy.
Chris.
You know that was Chris.
Oh yeah, that was Vandy all the way. So yeah, man.
But you do have to admit though, just for college football storylines, Nick Saban, he has to get back to the SEC. He has to take that. He
I
has
don't
to
think
take
so.
that back.
I don't think so. I think he's on his way out.
Well, and I mean,
I think this. Okay, you posted something up the other day, right on the Second to None page, talking about Alabama going 9-3 with losses to Tennessee, Auburn, and LSU. Okay, that was my take. I believe he's going to go 9-3 with losses to LSU, Auburn, and Tennessee this season. Man, I mean, for Tennessee to be able to beat Alabama and Tuscaloosa this year would be amazing. That would just be, I mean, and that would just, what does that say about Josh Heupel? What he would be able to accomplish, beating Bama 2 years in a row, once in Neyland and then once in Tuscaloosa.
Uh-huh.
And then what would that say about Nick Saban on where he's headed?
The consensus is that Alabama's offense is going to be a question mark. We don't know what to expect. The defense, though, is going to be the best defense on the field in the West. That's what I keep hearing from everybody. They're bringing back pieces. They're going to be very dominant. we're talking like a Georgia caliber type defense. If they can figure out some way to put some offense together, Alabama's going to be hard to beat. But if they have the problems that it looks like they have the problems on offense, they're going to have defense and not a whole lot of offense. And we know statistically and from past experience, a good offense in the SEC defeats a good defense because you can only defend the goal line for so long. So we'll see. But I mean, it's a good take. Those 3 games are very winnable for Tennessee for certain.
Absolutely. But guys, this has been a lot of fun, and I'm super excited to see like where this season goes. This season's going to be bigger and better than it was in season 1.
Yeah.
We have some new members. George, welcome to the team. We're super happy to have you. We have a couple of other guys, that are here tonight that were here last season. But also with the addition of Cody as well. Cody's a huge LSU fan, so I'm excited to get him in here. Him and Wes going at it, Wes and Kenny. I'm excited to see what's happening. But, one last segment, though, before we go.
Okay.
Standout studs. Standout studs
Dustin.
for at the Manning passing camp. Joe Milton throwing at 70 yards.
Yeah.
Okay, Devin Leary, all right, he got called out. Jaden Daniels, he got called out. So there was some SEC guys for some standouts, there at the camp.
So let me address the Joe Milton 70-yard pass real quick.
Oh God, here we go.
That's not unusual.
It's impressive, Chris. It is impressive.
When you've been watching it for 40 years.
However you slice it, do you see AJ Swan doing that? I don't.
I've been watching to see.
Here's the thing.
I can tell you, I've been watching guys for 40 years throw them 70-yard passes like that. I was watching guys in 1986 off of one knee, putting it 60 yards down the field through the uprights, off of one knee. I watched Cordell Stewart throw it 75 yards in the air with the defense on the team for a game-winning play.
Okay, all right. Let me ask you this, Chris.
70 yards with no defense. Okay. And pass rush.
Well, let me ask you this. He done it again. He done it against Clemson last season, bro. Come on now. Come on. He did it against Clemson. He also done it against Vanderbilt. Your team.
He did it against Pitt too, and threw 4 interceptions.
So here's the thing. That 70-yard pass that he threw, the receiver did catch it in the end zone. Yes or no?
Mm-hmm.
So does that show? So let me ask you this. So does that show you what Heupel has been able to do with Milton in the offseason? At least he's hitting his receivers, right?
Okay, I give you that. He caught it. But he threw those 70-yard passes against Pitt too that were on the money that got picked off because there was a defense on the field.
And where did he come from? He come from Michigan, right? He didn't have Heupel. He didn't have Heupel as a quarterback. You know what I'm saying? Huh?
Heupel's already benched him once.
Right, because Hooker was better. Hooker was better, right?
Here's the thing, Dustin. You have just validated the North Carolina State transfer because he was an average quarterback in a different league, comes to the SEC under a different coach.
Never know.
I didn't validate Leary. I didn't validate Leary.
Yes, you did.
Here's a quarterback you guys got to look out for.
Who's that, buddy?
At Penn State.
Yeah.
Chad Powers.
Oh, yeah. Chad Powers.
Chad Powers. I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
I'm gonna make a bold prediction here. I know we got Jarquez Connor. I know we got Quinshon Judkins, but Rocket Sanders is gonna have the SEC leading rushing yards.
Oh,
man! Now he's gonna have to be able to pass up Jabari Small though.
Are you putting that on record?
I'll put it on record.
The top 2 in the SEC last year were Judkins and Sanders.
Exactly.
So it's not a stretch.
Nope. Not a stretch.
I'm
In
not saying
fact,
that it's not.
in-
I'm not saying
in
that it's not.
fact, going into the last game of the season, it was Judkins and Sanders neck and neck.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And had Sanders got more carries at Missouri, he would have taken
Yeah.
that. So
How many rush yards did they combine for last season? I'm just curious.
They both had 1,000 yards rushing. I think it was 1,500 yards apiece. I think it was, Mike. Something like that.
Wow, yeah.
It was something ridiculous.
I think it
Yeah.
surpassed the 3,000 yard mark.
Yeah,
Probably
I think
did.
So.
But between Jabari Small and Jalen Wright, they had 1,800 yards together. So good take. I don't see why that could be an issue, especially at 3,000 apiece. 3,000 combined.
Yeah,
That's a lot.
Yeah, Quinshawn had just a little over 1,500, and Rocket Sanders had 1,443.
Okay.
Wow,
So there you go.
that's nuts, man.
Yeah,
that's nuts.
Don't
Guys, any final thoughts before we end the show?
Yeah, just one really quick one. Don't forget about, the Big Blue Wall at Kentucky. I think this is the year that those guys are going to be back. I think we're going to use our transfer that came in from Vandy, and he's gonna see what a real line's like, and this guy's going to explode for 1,500 yards this year. Go Davis.
So
let me ask about that Big Blue Wall, because last year you guys only scored 6 points against Tennessee.
Oh my gosh, I had to bring that up.
I'm gonna mute you, okay? Because we're not interested. We're not interested. Hey, we're not gonna bring up the past, okay?
Hey,
We're gonna let the past
listen,
go.
Dustin.
Okay, all right.
That's your boss you're talking to there, okay? He can just hit a button and you were non-existent there, bro.
This is true. Michael, don't fire me, okay?
No.
So you know what I hear when I hear Kentucky fans talking about Ray Davis being at Kentucky and he's going to lead the SEC in rushing and they're going to beat Vanderbilt. This is what I see.
Okay. I love to hear.
Oh, speaking of Ray Davis, how good of a career did he have at Vanderbilt? I'm curious.
He's injury prone. He tore his ACL his first year at Vandy. He got hurt twice last year and had to set out the second half of 2 different games. He tore his ACL when he was at Rutgers or at Temple. I mean, he's very injury prone.
Mm-hmm.
If you can keep him healthy, he's a really, really good piece. But you got to keep him healthy. And given what we saw out of the Kentucky offensive line last year, I don't know if they can protect him well enough to keep him healthy.
Mm.
So UK has an injury-prone quarterback. They have an injury-prone running back. So what happens if those 2 guys go out? Because Devin Leary had to have surgery last year.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean,
It was on his shoulder, right? It was on his throwing shoulder.
Yeah.
Right.
And
I was
at this
thinking
point, just like the biggest thing is just, Will Levis was on his back like 59 times last year.
Yep.
So I think as I can't speak for all the Big Blue Nation, but I have to say that we just want our line to just give our quarterback at least a chance to make something happen.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't care. You could take any quarterback in here. You could take any quarterback in college football, and if he's on his back 59 times a year,
correct,
I don't know how productive he's gonna be. So
yeah.
So and with that, I'll break into AJ Swan. He started 4 games as a true freshman.
Mm-hmm.
He threw 10 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. But the 4 games he started on the road at number 1 Alabama, at home against number 10 Ole Miss, on the road at number 1 Georgia, and at home against South Carolina.
Yeah.
He ended up suffering a concussion. I mean, Vanderbilt against those teams, we're just not competitive with those with that type of team like Kentucky, Alabama, and Georgia.
Yeah, you said it right.
But he threw 10 touchdowns and only 2 interceptions against that quality opposition.
Yeah.
I think AJ Swan might be doing a little bit of this walking off the field this year.
Oh goodness.
I turned it down just in time. Just in time.
Thank you.
Just in time.
Appreciate it. Yeah.
That's my dog. My prediction for a dog.
Dustin, you want to close us out with a thought?
Man, I'm excited for 2023. Boys, we are going to ascend into 2023. It's going to be a great season. I'm excited. We appreciate anybody and everybody that was listening, watching us. We really do appreciate it. That's how this show is run. It's run by the fans for the fans. Please don't forget to subscribe. Go on YouTube, Twitter's, Spotify, everything, just to help us out. We really would appreciate that. Yeah, please share this. We really do appreciate that.
You can.
But other than that,
I'm going to bounce on you, Dustin.
Yeah, go
you
for
can
it.
Actually, find us on YouTube. We have our own channel, Second to None. We also have the Variety Sports Network that give us a platform to do these shows on. You can find us on Twitter at Second to None. We also have Variety Sports Network on Twitter and Variety Sports Collegiate that's dedicated to collegiate sports. So you can find us on all those platforms. We've all got Twitter individuals, and you can find us all there. And I'm going to throw it back into Michael's lap to have him send us out.
Man, I tell you, you guys know I was on the road today with my daughter playing AAU ball, and I had a chance to really watch you guys. And let me just tell you, I was talking to my wife in the car while I was watching it, and just to have a group of guys, you know, we do this because we have a passion for it. Do we have other things in life that we got going on? Absolutely, we have things going on, but we take this time to come and put this together. And we're going to just keep getting better. We're not going anywhere. You know, it doesn't matter if we have 1 or 2 views or whatever. It doesn't matter. These guys have showed that these guys are dedicated. And we're going to just keep this up. We're going to keep building. Just as Dustin said, please, the likes, the subscribes, that means a lot to us. That, you know, that keeps us going. And I just want to say thank you guys. I know it's the weekend baseball, the World Series on, and you guys could have been watching that. But you guys took time out to come and talk to us. You know,
who cares about LSU?
I know, right? We're trying to get them to lose anyway. But hey, thank you guys for watching Second to None. If you was able to watch and comment, definitely appreciate all you guys as well too. So until next time, Second to None, we're out, man. Thank you guys.